Welcome to NMI's Payment Playbook podcast. NMI delivers powerful, scalable, embedded payment solutions for ISOs, software vendors, and payment professionals. This podcast offers thoughtful conversations to help you unlock growth, innovate fearlessly, and thrive in the payments landscape. NMI, powering endless possibilities in payments.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to NMI's Payment Playbook podcast. I'm Greg Myers, the host of the show. And on today's episode, our special guests are Phillip Goericke, the Chief Technology Officer here at NMI, and Spero Langaditis, the Director of AI and Automation here at NMI. So today is our second episode in our three-part series on trends affecting payment providers. During this series, we'll be discussing trends such as embedded payments, AI and payments, regulations, and much more. Today, we're going to be focusing on AI and payments. So, Phillip, Spero, welcome to the show.
Hey, Greg. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Greg, for having us.
Absolutely. So, Phillip, let's start with you and tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and your role here at NMI.
Sure. I'm Phillip Goericke. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at NMI, as you said. My journey in software development and technology leadership really has shaped my role here, where I focus on advancing our technology strategy, enhancing operational efficiency across multiple areas. I lead the entire engineering group, ranging from our site reliability engineering team over our infrastructure, our product engineering group and platform architecture group, building out the products and services that we offer, even our agile operations team, helping us gain visibility into what we're doing and planning and forecasting. And I also oversee our security measures, making sure that our payment solutions are innovative, robust, and dependable. Before joining NMI, I gained a lot of invaluable experience building and scaling complex systems securely and efficiently. And I think that background has really been instrumental and helpful as we work to enhance NMI's global payment platform, particularly through this new frontier where we're integrating AI tech to streamline our operations and improve the customer experience in payments.
Okay, great. Thanks for sharing that. So, Spero, same question for you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and your role here at NMI.
Sure thing. So, my name is Spero Langaditis. I've been with NMI for a little bit over 7 years. Started off as an engineer. I'm an engineer at heart, always have been. Up until recently, I've been the director of product, one of the directors of product engineering here at NMI. And then over the last, I would say, almost a year now, I made the pivot into AI, into the AI space. And what I'm doing at NMI is, so I'm essentially in charge of the AI strategy, both from an operational standpoint, but also from a strategic standpoint. So that could mean how can we better leverage AI internally, right, to streamline certain processes and things like that internally, operationally. And then from a product standpoint, how can we start better leverage AI technologies and embed them into our products? And yeah, I'm happy to expand on all those as we continue talking. But yeah, that's a little bit of my background and what I do at NMI.
Okay, awesome. So one of the biggest trends or buzzwords that we hear today, and doing different podcasts, I have this topic come up all the time, is AI. And I think AI means different things to different people. So Spero, maybe can you level set for us, maybe at the 50,000 foot level, what AI really means?
I definitely can. So AI, artificial intelligence, right? It's a very broad term. And at the end of the day, it really depends on what your context is, what you're doing, right? So generally speaking, AI refers to essentially the simulation of human intelligence in machines, right? And that can cross many different types of technologies. And it typically involves systems that can perform tasks requiring human level intelligence. So for instance, things like learning, reasoning, problem solving, like understanding natural language, and even perception, right? So, and AI as a broad term encompasses a range of technologies. So these technologies can range from machine learning, natural language processing, computer vision, and even robotics. So at a super high level, that's essentially what AI means, the simulation of human intelligence in machines.
Okay. All right. Spero, we'll stick with you for a minute. Let's go down a level and maybe talk about some more definitions here. But when people are using the term AI, do they typically mean generative AI?
It really depends on who you are and what you're doing, right? So generative AI, I would say over the last 2 to 3 years is what really brought AI to the media, right? What has really made AI a very popular subject. But to answer the question, not necessarily. Like I said, it depends who you are and what application you're using AI. AI in of itself is like a very broad term, as I recently mentioned, right? But typically what you'll see is people in corporate America that are doing things operationally, they typically would refer to AI as generative AI. And generative AI essentially means an AI tool or product that can create new content, such as like text, images, audio, etc. And it's probably the most popular subset of AI.
And we hear terms like Chat GPT, Claude, Google Bard. Like, what are those terms? What do they mean?
Yeah, so all three of those are generative AI products, right? ChatGPT is owned by OpenAI. They're fairly popular. Claude, owned by Anthropic, and Google Bard, which is actually Google Gemini now, and that's obviously owned by Google. But these are examples of generative AI technology and the most popular, I would say, generative AI types of technology. And they're essentially used through the internet, right, as a web application. And they're typically used for assisting with tasks such as answering questions, writing content, providing information by generating essentially coherent and contextually relevant responses. And the barrier to entry and the accessibility factor for a lot of these tools is very low, right? So because, for instance, ChatGPT is very popular in the media, right? The barrier to entry is very low for anyone to go on the internet and start using some of these tools.
Okay. And I'm starting to hear this term CoPilot a lot. What is a CoPilot?
Yeah, so the term CoPilot in AI just generally refers to tools designed to assist humans in their tasks. Some examples of actual products named CoPilot are, for instance, like GitHub Copilot, right, which helps engineers and developers essentially code, right, by suggesting code snippets, helping to debug and investigate potential problems with code, and really aid engineers in their workflows. And then Microsoft also has recently released another product called CoPilot, and that essentially embeds AI features into their Office products, right? But essentially the word CoPilot is a tool designed to assist humans in their tasks. So essentially a CoPilot.
Okay, makes sense. So final question on this is, what is the difference between machine learning and AI?
Yeah, this is a great question. So kind of going back, right? AI, super broad term. It can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, right? The broad term of AI is focused on creating systems capable of performing tasks that require human-like level of intelligence, right? So at a very broad level. So machine learning in and of itself is a subset of AI, is a technology that AI can leverage. And that typically involves, training algorithms on certain types of data so they can make predictions and decisions based off of that data without explicitly programming anything, right? So in other words, machine learning is about systems learning from data and is a subset of AI.
Okay, great. Thanks for that clarification. So, Phillip, going to come over to you. So what I'd like to do is take this conversation kind of in two directions. One, what is NMI and the industry as a whole doing with AI today? And then maybe what could potentially be done in the future. So let's start with today. So, Phillip, from a technology perspective, how is AI being used at NMI today?
That's a great question. In NMI, we are embracing AI in many different ways, from things like enhancing our daily operations and making us more efficient to improving our customer interactions. And we're also beginning to embed it into our products. So, for example, we've used AI tools like ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot and various other ones across all of the engineering group, really across the whole company. But if we stay focused on engineering, across all of engineering and speeding up our coding tasks, helping us debug issues. And even recently, it significantly saved us time on this project where we needed to convert a large, complex, and older SDK across two different platforms, like entirely different platforms. And it was a big help there. So obviously, this is saving us significant amounts of time, but it's also helping us ensure we've got high quality outputs with things like documentation, which is things that, you typically are left off because we don't have time or because the developer doesn't enjoy writing it, right? Creating unit tests, explaining what the code is doing so that you don't have to be a developer to understand what's happening there. So some really helpful things with making sure we've got great output. We're using AI to answer our customers' questions. We've got that published on our portals, which has actually led to a significant reduction in support calls and ticket volumes with a high success rate. It's working. And we're automating a lot of our underwriting routines, certain basic underwriting decisions so that our staff can focus on more complex and more nuanced issues. Something I'm particularly excited about really is maybe a more future direction is how can we're aiming to dramatically simplify the API integrations themselves. So simple, in fact, that Even a non-technical user, a non-developer, for example, they can interact with our APIs. And that's directly supporting and improving our embedded payment solution, which has been shown to improve our customer experience. As I highlighted in a recent article, how embedded payments impact user loyalty and retention.
Okay, Spero, anything to add to that?
Just to echo sort of what Phillip said here, I mean, internally here at NMI, we're approaching AI from really two facets, right? One around sort of the internal operational efficiency point of view, whereas like how can we start streamlining, some of our internal processes to make them faster, make people more efficient, right? And that's we're going into using tools like ChatGPT, CoPilot for our engineers, etc. And then more so on like a product side, more of a strategic perspective, we're starting to really look into introducing generative AI technology into some of our products, right? So one of the key sort of strides that we're trying to make is we want to make our products more usable and more easy to use, right? And really decreasing the learning curve whenever you're adopting any type of new software. So we're really starting to look into different areas of our products where we can kind of streamline that and make things just more simple.
Okay. So Phillip, the use cases that you and Spero just mentioned, what are you seeing as the benefit of using AI?
Oh gosh, I think the benefits of AI are tremendous. And we really are just scratching the surface. A quick analogy, the way I think about this is, I've got a 5-year-old son and he's a pretty smart little kid and he's learning math and he's getting really good at like things like addition and subtraction and even the basics of multiplication. And I'm very impressed at how good he's getting at that. But I also recognize that this is the worst at math he's ever going to be. And similarly, I think that today, as great as AI is and as useful and helpful it is, this is the worst it's ever going to be. It's continuing to evolve rapidly. There's a ton of competition that's improving it. So the benefits of using it today are excellent as it is, but where it's going is also tremendous. Today, the direct benefits are it's helping automate routine tasks, reducing errors, giving faster responses to customer inquiries and questions. It's reducing the time it takes to research something. Complex problems, you might spend 3-4 hours on Google and Stack Overflow and various forums, and you're getting those same answers in seconds. And what I love about its potential is how it can simplify really complex things and subjects that would normally require advanced knowledge, advanced skills, and it makes that accessible to a much broader range of people. And I think this is leading to obviously increased efficiency and increased customer satisfaction. But it's also got the ability to handle complex data analysis at scale. And for example, that's helping us offer more personalized and secure services. It can detect patterns in system logs that might indicate, hey, there's a security threat in real time that would otherwise require extensive human analysis. I'm also thinking about learning. You as an individual, as a person, you can learn things so much faster by using these tools than other conventional mechanisms. And you could just get a lot more done with your time with these tools than without it. And I like to think of, imagine you were tasked with solving some large problem or a large project and you couldn't use the internet. Go back 30 years, something like that. You're talking to people and relying on the information or going to the library, reading books. Versus turn on the internet and it goes to hours, days to hours. And with AI, it goes to seconds and minutes in many cases. So you just get a lot more done with your time.
Okay, Phillip, staying with you for the next question. So when you think about the key stakeholders, customers, partners, like the ISVs and the ISOs and the PayFacs and the banks that NMI works with on a daily basis, so what kind of conversations are you having with them about AI?
Yeah, with our partners and stakeholders, we discuss how AI can obviously reduce those operational costs, but enhance their security, create new revenue opportunities. And frankly, if you're not using and leveraging AI yet, it's not too late. But if you don't, you might be left behind by the competition. So I would recommending start using them now. I encourage thoughtful consideration for how they secure their data, making sure they develop robust AI usage policies and how they can limit how the data can be used with AI. There's a myriad of concerns on this frontier, right? For sensitive data, maybe you should be considering an open source AI option. So like ChatGPT, for example, that's a closed source. So maybe you look at an open source AI solution where you can run it in-house without the worry for your data ever leaving your network or training an LLM like ChatGPT or Claude. It's really about leveraging AI to not just make your processes better, faster, but also unlock new customer insights and engagement strategies, and ultimately aiming to enhance your loyalty and drive retention.
Okay, Spero, let's turn to you on this one. Let's talk about the future of AI a little bit. Where's AI heading?
We're in a very exciting time in terms of the AI cycle. So the future of AI is, really heading towards greater integration into our everyday applications, right? So enhanced personalization, improved automation. So we're really starting to enter like an exponential growth curve in terms of AI. And kind of going back to one of our previous analogies, it's essentially going to be like, it is like the internet boom. We're in an AI boom right now. So as we continue down the path and, towards the end of this year, we're seeing that GPT-5 is going to be coming out and beyond. We're still at the beginning of sort of this growth trajectory. And as we continue down this line, things are just going to become more and more advanced and more autonomous to a degree where it's going to start changing the way we work, right? And it's already has started changing that. But over time, things are just going from a software perspective. I think things are going to be becoming more simpler. But from a workforce perspective, things are just going to start becoming more streamlined and automated. So,
okay. Do you see other use cases coming in the future in the payments industry?
Definitely. So specifically in the payments industry, I think there's going to be fairly large strides in using AI in terms of things like, fraud detection and prevention, right? So things like real-time analysis of like transaction patterns to detect and prevent, fraudulent activities and things of that sort. Personalized customer service, right? So AI chatbots or virtual assistants. We've started doing this internally as well. Here at NMI, we have an AI-powered support bot, right, that can help our customers, resolve support issues. And going into things like risk management, we're going to start seeing, large AI incorporation into that field, in terms of managing like things like credit risk by analyzing like vast amounts of data, things like that. And then I think like from a holistic level as well, kind of really gauging and developing like customer insights and analytics that we may not have had before, right? So like, providing deep, insights into customer behavior to improve really satisfaction and like tailor everyone's software offerings based off of that data, right? So being able to like extract that data and analyze it using AI tooling, I think is a very large and powerful use case that the payments industry is going to see.
Okay. Any thoughts or advice for the key NMI partners like the ISOs and ISVs and PayFacs and banks that NMI works with on a daily basis?
Definitely. I think the biggest one is, invest in AI capabilities internally, right? Make sure your employees and your team members are educated and trained on how to, efficiently use AI effectively. So whether that's prompt engineering, right? Or like the best practices around how to use tools like ChatGPT or Claude or Google Gemini, I think those are paramount, very important. And then there's also like ethical considerations, right? So make sure like your employees adopt like internal ethical AI practices, right? To ensure like transparency, fairness, and accountability, especially when interacting or using third-party systems, right? Like ChatGPT or Claude or Google Gemini.
Okay. Phillip, over to you. We're talking about the future. We're talking about the payments industry. Where do you see AI making the biggest impact in the future?
Well, AI could advance in a million different ways that none of us can predict, but I really do think that it's set to revolutionize payments in a lot of different ways. Payments, if you didn't know, let me be the first to tell you, it's a highly complex ecosystem that has been created over decades and lots of things and how things interconnect and work together. It's very complicated. And it requires a ton of knowledge to understand how it all works and how to even like leverage it for your benefit. And I think that my bet is that AI, the biggest impact it makes is by simplifying payments and the integrations and making them more accessible and deeper integrations into everyday business tools that help make financial operations seamless and just easy to use. Really, what I'm trying to say is like lower the barrier of entry into embedding payments into software. And I think this aligns with that shift towards embedded payments at NMI that's our charted course, embedded payments, where AI can help businesses integrate payment solutions that are not only efficient, but invisible and that enhance the overall user experience and loyalty. APIs, they're the modern language of the internet. And APIs allow different softwares and applications all over the world to communicate with each other and integrate with each other. And if we think about how AI, I think classically we think about like AI, you train it on data, right? I think that's fundamental, right? But if we think about you could train AI on public API specs all over the world, I believe that we could see a significant transformation to a dynamic world and seamless integration of these payment systems that previously required developers to manually code and manually integrate their apps to other systems, And when the API changed, they had to update it and maintain it, and it would have breaking changes, to a world where AI just dynamically understands all of the interactions. And, oh, you need to connect to the NMI API, or you need to connect to something over here at Amazon altogether, or Shopify. And it just does that dynamically without having to be manually coded and maintained by developers.
I think the impact of this, like you said initially, is really unknown, but some of those examples you just gave are incredibly powerful. So as we're coming to the end of the show, Phillip, if you don't mind, would you kind of summarize kind of this podcast episode, put yourself in the shoes of maybe the NMI stakeholders, and just kind of give us a brief summary of what we've talked about today?
Sure. I'll do my best to summarize. At NMI, we're actively leveraging AI in a variety of ways, enhancing operational efficiency, improving customer service, and enabling ways to embed payments more easily than ever before. As we look to the future, the integration of AI with payment systems really holds a tremendous potential to transform the entire payments landscape, making payment processing, which is historically very complex, more intuitive, simple, and embedded within your services, in your systems that our customers use every single day. Security with AI has to stay front and center. You've got to have robust usage policies. You should be considering open versus closed source, AI models, depending on the level of control you need, the type of data sensitivity you have. But software in general is moving towards simpler interactions with deeper and dynamic integrations to systems all over the entire world. If you aren't already, you need to start using these tools within your business. And I personally recommend that you have a dedicated people or teams that are exploring use cases and advancing how you can be using them.
Okay. Well, Phillip, I really appreciate you doing that. And I think that was a great summary. So I want to thank you both for being on the show today. And I really appreciate your time.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for having us, Greg. It's been a pleasure. This is a conversation that Spero and myself could talk about for days. So thanks for having us on today.
Thanks, Greg.
Absolutely. And please join us next time for the second episode in our series on trends affecting payment providers. And thanks for listening.
Thank you for tuning in to NMI's Payment Playbook podcast. To subscribe or learn more about our flexible, modular approach to embedded payment solutions, visit nmi.com/resources/podcasts.